I'll start my story, I suppose, from the beginning. I was born in Churchill, Manitoba. I come from a very large family. I believe there was 15 of us all together. I'm right in the middle. They took me from Churchill, Manitoba when I was 4 years old, and they placed me with an older army couple that never had kids, and they were already old, and I was their first child that they were going to raise. But they took me with my older brother. His name was Roderick Redhead, and they placed us in this home. My brother was with me, and I thought, as long as he's with me, I'm going to be okay. But they didn't explain anything to us, you know. There was no explanation given to us, never. This is what happens, you just have to live with it. So they removed my brother from the home I was in. And I didn't even know they were going to take him. They just took him. I was 4 and he would have been about 5 or 6. So we had a relationship, brother and sister relationship, and I used to tease him and bother him a lot, you know, as a little sister. That's what they do. So the last memory I have of him, he was standing at the door and he had a big yellow dump truck in his hand, and that was his Christmas present from my adopted parents. So I guess they allowed him to take that. And so he was standing at the door and I was hiding around the corner. I was looking at him and I was making faces at him. But he wasn't laughing and he wasn't getting mad at me. And I thought, well, what's wrong with him? So I went and looked again and it looked like he was crying. And I thought, why is he crying? And then I looked again, he was gone. I never saw him again. That was it. They never told me where they took him. But you know, when you're a little kid and people talk, you catch things, you know, you catch things that they say. So I must have figured out that from their conversations that they moved him to Flin Flon. And because of my speaking only Cree, I only knew a few words. The first word I knew how to say was, I go away. Like, I really wanted to go away. And no, I go away and no. So my adopted father at the time, because I was always saying that, he said, I'm going to call her bluff. So he packed my pajamas in a little paper bag. I said, okay, you go away. And I thought, fine, I'm going to go get my brother. So I left, and this is up in Churchill, Manitoba, wintertime. And well, I walked and walked, and I must have made it to the airport. Like, Churchill's not a very big place. But my adopted father followed behind, and he caught me talking to one of the workers there, because I wanted to get on the plane to Flin Flon to find my brother. I think losing my brother was really, really hard on me. And so I never had an explanation of where he went. I just knew that he was gone. And I was taken from Churchill, Manitoba, and I was brought to Oakville, Ontario. That's outside of Toronto. And there's not one Indigenous person in that whole town. And that's where they raised me. So I was exposed to racism every single day of my life. And I stayed there until I was about 14, 15. I started running away when I was 15 years old. But when I think back now, all those years, I hated living there. And I hated who I was. And I think I was grieving all those years, but I didn't know I was grieving. Because we weren't allowed to talk. I wasn't allowed to talk about where I came from. I wasn't even allowed to ask about my parents. I still hung on to the hope of my brother. I said, someday I'm going to find him. But you know what? I didn't find him. He found me. We had something back in those days called the moccasin telegraph. I don't know if you guys know anything about that. It was almost, it's not quite as good as internet, but we still got the message out there, you know? And my brother had somehow found, well, moccasin telegraph, right? Found out I was in Toronto, and he phoned me. He phoned me. And when I was talking to him on the phone, I answered, and he said, is this Iris? And I said, yes. And he goes, well, it's me. And I said, well, who are you? And he was just being cheeky with me. It's your brother. And I think I screamed and threw the phone and did a little dance and got back on the phone again, talked to him for a bit. And he came down to Toronto, met me. My sister Diane was living in Burlington, or Hamilton, Burlington, yeah. We met her. But he was the one responsible for finding all of us. You know, so like we're actually quite fortunate because we all got connected when we were in our late teens, early 20s. But we still never had that bond that you have with siblings when you grow up with siblings. Like we all have, we were raised by different people. So our relationship is a little bit different than a relationship that you grow up with, right? I guess it's emotional to talk about something so personal, but it's very important to talk about, to share it, because how else are people going to know what happened?